Most people nowadays, especially if you're hiring in the circles where everybody they have pronouns in their bios and stuff, are so terrified of microaggressions that they will just sit in their offices and not talk to anybody because they're so scared that they're going to offend you and get fired or get accused of
Mm-hmm.
being racist or get accused of being homophobic or whatever the new ism is.
This is from Lives of TikTok, and it says, this is Danny Lalonders, a non-binary game developer. She was hired by Cliffhanger Devs to create a game based on Marvel's Black Panther. Now, Cliffhanger Games is like a subsidiary, I guess, or like a small developing team from EA. And she says she doesn't hire white people because they're unsafe and it's hard to work with them, and only hires people of color. So let's play this little video. It's 48 seconds. Now, I went full journalist mode on this woman last night. I went into a deep dive, so I got a lot of links pulled up for her, but let's begin.
I have a team of 21 right now for Validate. It's a pretty big team. It's a crazy big team for indie games. But who is your team? Validate has a team of mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment. And I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me. And I'm not saying that white people in the industry are creating unsafe environments. I'm not saying that. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying that sometimes it is hard to work with white people because they think that something made it okay, but it was really a microaggression. And no one wants to deal with that while they're trying to make a game that they love.
She literally says, I only have colored people because I want it to be safe. Not saying white people aren't safe. I think you are, though. It's kind of like exactly what you said.
White people are probably like the safest people you can hire right now. What the hell? They'll lick your shoe like, oh, please don't call
Please
me
give me
racist.
a job. I am white, but I can do it.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Right. So who is this woman, guys? Well, you won't really be able to know because not only does she have one Twitter account, she's got actually 2 Twitter accounts, and both of them are protected. So you cannot find anything about her. However, she really wants you to know in both of her accounts that she is a she, they.
Her opinions are all her own, but she doesn't want you to see them.
Yes, and the other one said that she was 8. Yeah, one of them is 18 plus, and both of them are like, all opinions are my own. So she's also a food blogger and associate narrative designer. So I went into a little deep dive. I found this woman. She has her own website. I went some digging. She's got her own little website. So if you go to her homepage, which is this, if you click work, she is doing a visual novel, and you guys will love the images. Therapy sessions in the bedroom. Yeah. You're kissing her, and you can't stop kissing her. You don't want this moment to end, so you become overindulgent, peppering kisses all over her neck and collarbone. Yeah. Validate. Struggling singles in your area. Yeah. So, if you don't know, I went and Googled what this was, too. And I discovered it. I discovered it. By the way, I watched this entire video. It's like 9 minutes long. And these two are the dumbest interviewers ever. They're like, yeah, oh, that's so cool, Anyway, it was 9 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
You aspired to do it. Can you talk about Validate? And you talk about gender identity. You talk about culture, race. You have all of these themes. Can you kind of talk about like why you decided to make a game of this flavor?
Because there's no game like this. I love realistic media. Like I love me a good love story that's like realistic. And like rom-coms are like my favorite kind of game. My favorite genre of like movies. So I was just like, how about we make a rom-com but with all people of color? Because most rom-coms are full of white people, and like that's for certain people, not for me, but it's for certain people.
See how this video was from 2 years ago, and she's already saying that's for white people only. So
here's the thing.
She's pulling a Jennifer Lawrence saying that there's no all people of color rom-coms. There is.
Well, and also here's the thing. Yeah, like they definitely 100,000% exist. Here's the other thing. The black people that like actual black people and actual black culture and stuff, they're not playing this fucking game. There's this weird thing right now that's going on in culture where these people that push for representation and diversity and push for black representation in films and stuff seem to think that that most black people walk around wearing nose rings and dressing very like androgynously and all this stuff. That is not indicative of black culture. Most I mean, like, I grew up in like mostly white areas and mostly black areas and stuff like that. That is not indicative of what those communities look like at all. Like, they don't dress like this, they don't act like this, and the thing is, most of them will make fun of the people that look like this. Like, we used to make fun of people that dress like that because they were like the outliers in the community. Like, people were like, "Oh, yo, that's a dude that dresses like that wears like girl shoes all the time. Like, we don't talk to that dude," or whatever. It's just a weird thing. It's like there's weird push to make to fit into the current culture, and so everybody has pronouns in their bios, and everybody has to get like a nose ring, or they have to cut their hair a certain way. Well, this is the way that black people have to wear their hair. And I'm like, if you all start dressing and acting and looking the same, you should probably start to figure out why that is. You should start to wonder if maybe there's an issue here, because that's not indicative of like real life at all. It's just really weird. Also, Cliffhanger Games is not an indie studio. First of all, 21 people is a massive amount of people for an indie studio, but it's not an indie studio. It's a AAA studio that is, yes, a subsidiary. And she's walking around talking about how she's an indie studio. I'm like, no, you're not. Like, literally right here, EA announced that they were a AAA studio that worked for them and that they were giving Black Panther to.
When did they announce that though? Just so like to make sure, because this video is from 2 years ago.
I just closed it, Blabs.
Oh, well,
Damn
sorry.
it.
I just wanted to like make sure that we're not like
in 2023 was when they revealed the first project for Cliffhanger Games. So her studio that she was working on for Validate was an independent studio. Yeah, I don't know how the hell she got 21 people on staff for a game like that.
She did a lot of sucking, maybe. I don't know.
You got to remember, like, a game like No Man's Sky had like 3 people working on it when it first started, and then it was like a huge deal when they got to 10 people on their staff. So I don't know, but the thing is, like, the attitude too is, well, I hire minorities because it stops microaggressions. Here's the thing too. You're gonna get like racist remarks or like weird comments from people because they're different than you all the time. The idea of microaggressions is that, well, if you live in a victim mentality, is that white people will ask you things or treat you a certain way because you have a different skin color, because they're completely ignorant of your culture. And it's like, no, people are just ignorant of other people in general if you're different and you don't have any experience with stuff. Like, you know, not all minorities have the same thing. If you come from a family that's like mostly Hispanic, and then you come from a family that's mostly black, and then you come from a family that's mostly, I don't know, Australian, and you all come together to work on something, you're not going to understand certain aspects of how you talk, how you eat, how you go about like addressing certain like even greetings, or the way you deal with certain day-to-day issues and stuff. So this idea of microaggressions is all based on this victim mentality that white people are going to think less of you because you're black inherently. That is just the way that they think about everything. So this attitude of, I only hire minorities because I'm trying to avoid microaggressions in the workplace, is like the most ridiculous thing ever. And Pop pointed out perfectly, most people nowadays, especially if you're hiring in the circles where they have pronouns in their bios and stuff, are so terrified of microaggressions that they will just sit in their offices and not talk to anybody because they're so scared that they're going to offend you and get fired or get accused of being racist or get accused of being homophobic or whatever the new ism is out there. So that whole thing is so ridiculous, and they don't realize that what they're actually doing is inviting another level and another wave of segregation that's self-imposed. They're saying, hey, we want to just be our own community, and we don't want anything to do with white people, and we don't want anything to do with any of these people. But then you're also working for EA. You're getting money from a company that's run by white people to make a game that was written by a white dude. Stan Lee invented Black Panther. So, like, what are you doing? Like, at what point do you stop and realize, like, oh, maybe I can't live in a world like this unless I completely distance myself from everybody. But in doing so means I don't have access to all of the resources and the money that I'm claiming I need to be able to do all of this stuff. It's such a stupid, very small way of thinking about things, and it's so victim based that they actually are like walking around in fear of being, I don't know, inconvenienced by somebody that isn't trying to inconvenience them.
But I also want to keep going and show off what this woman has been working on. So here's another thing. It says, cast spells, be queer, and crash the biggest content of the year. Spirit Swap is an action puzzle game set in a lush, narrative-driven world of witchy demons. And here it is. I gotta say, these are like absolutely horrific graphics. Like, there's no.
Terrible art, terrible style. She's,
it's not
the
original.
Black Panther game is going to be horrible because you can tell right away she's one of those women that self-inserts herself into every character, and that's one of the biggest problems with we've seen it on Spider-Man with Mary Jane. Mary Jane's supposed to be this gorgeous actress model, but no, let's make her dumpy. Why not? Because the writer wanted her to look that way because that's probably how the writer looked.
100%, and that's what's weird. Like I said, it's this weird attitude of like, oh, I want to make a game that has representation and diversity in it, so I made all the black women fat and have nose rings and have like weird colored fucking hair and stuff. And I'm like, if I was a wizard, I wouldn't want to dress like that. Why do I want to wear a crop top and have my fucking gut hanging out over my fucking booty shorts? Like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, why do you think, like, nobody wants to fucking dress like this in real life? And like the people that do dress like that, because here's the thing, there's a Sugarfoot. There's a wide variety of body types, even in black people. They're not all like, but if you went by these people's attitude, every black woman is like fat and dumpy and like has purple hair. And I'm like, what are you doing, people? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, the next thing you know, it'll be like Black Panther and he's like overweight and wearing a suit and like he barely fits in his own fucking suit and like and he's got and he doesn't even wear the mask because you got to be able to see his nose ring and know that he has like a weird like, you know, side shaved haircut so that, you know, he's really down for the cause. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Like,
I think I said this on my stream with Wicked. This dumb idea that, oh, they have to look like me so I can connect with them is absolute bullshit. Like, I can connect with freaking Wall-E. All right. Last time I checked, I'm not a robot, but I can still engage with that movie. That tells a very hard-hitting story. This idea that everyone has to look like me, fat with piercings, side shave, whatever. It's just absolute BS. You can connect with anything if the priority is writing a good story, making a good story.
Yep.
You can connect with almost anything, even a robot.
To continue on, yes, because True Pop is a robot. This is EA Cliffhanger Games. I just want to show everybody, you know, that it actually is a website. It does exist. It says, as we celebrate the 57th anniversary of Black Panther's comic debut this July, which again was in, 2023, so last year, we're thrilled to announce Cliffhanger Games, a new AAA development studio based in Seattle, is working on an original third-person single-player Black Panther game in collaboration with Marvel Games. Our mission is to build an expansive and reactive world that empowers players to experience what it's like to take on the mantle of Wakanda's protector, the Black Panther. And there's a whole bunch of other mumbo jumbo in it. I don't think there's even an announcement for when it's going to be released. But that is what EA Games is doing. However, the plot does thicken about this woman because this is from
Thicker than what her characters look like?
Sorry?
Thicker than her fat black witches that she has in her video games?
Thicker. Way thicker.
Yeah, or whatever.
Way thicker. Because
not in the way you want them to be, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want them to look like that, so.
Yeah. And it's funny because even somebody said it in the chat that she's stealing European folklore with the witches and everything, which is true.
Yeah.
Ironic, huh? However, Danai Lalanders worked for Sweet Baby Inc. from 2022 to 2023. So there's a whole other thing about this woman that she's a they, them, she, they, and she's worked with Sweet Baby Inc. So there you have it. It is full circle. But I also wanted to share this one thing that Gary posted on his Twitter, and I thought it was pretty accurate. So let's share this.
I keep seeing all of you being replaced by little white motherfuckers.
Well, maybe you should try not being so racist, Cartman.
You can't be racist towards white people, Stan. They all honky ass bitches.
I just thought that was pretty accurate for what's going on in today's bullshit.
Well, yeah, exactly what I said about her just projecting herself. And I agree with Mike too, because I grew up in the suburbs, but I had family that lived in the hood, the ghetto, right? And I actually lived there for a little bit myself. Nobody dresses like that on either side. Not at all. And yes, they absolutely would make fun of somebody that was dressed like that. It's ridiculous. This Black Panther game is going to flop harder than probably, I don't know, what was the last game that flopped real bad?
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
There you go. It's Suicide. I'm going to say it right now without playing it. Suicide Squad was going to be better than this. And I didn't even play it. I won't even touch that game.
Pretty hard to beat.
I feel like in the 90s and early 2000s, we were like way ahead of its curve, and then we're just
regressed. And that's what we grew up with. So that's why for like us, like millennials and Gen X, even more so, we're like, what are you guys talking about? There's no inclusion or diversity. It's like freaking grew up with it.